Everyone knows the best Friends episodes. But do you remember the most underrated ones? The episodes nobody talks about because nothing big happens yet. They're packed with some of the show's funniest, smartest moments. Today, we're revisiting the Friends episodes you probably forgot you loved. 1. The one with the nap partners. The one with the nap partners earns its status as the most underrated Friends episode because it takes what could have been a simple sitcom gag and turns it into one of the show's most delightfully oddball character moments. In Season 7's 6th outing, Joey and Ross accidentally fall asleep together while watching a movie and are floored to realize they loved it. So much so that Joey tries convincing Ross to become nap partners again, despite their shared embarrassment. This bizarre yet hilarious dynamic plays to the pair's unexpected chemistry and gives viewers a fresh slice of their friendship, while the subplot showed Rachel and Phoebe fiercely vying to be Monica's maid of honor. That added more funny moments and warmth that made this episode a hidden gem. 2. The one where Ross is fine. At number 2, the one where Ross is fine has earned praise as one of Friends' most underrated episodes because it turns awkward emotional denial into peak comedy and character work. In Season 10, Ross walks in on Joey and Rachel's new relationship and insists, with a squeaky, "I'm fine," that he's totally okay. But of course he isn't. His attempt to prove it by hosting a double date with margaritas and fajitas leads to an escalating awkwardness, hilarious delivery from David Schwimmer, and one of the show's most memeable moments. Even if Ross's denial is funny, the episode also reflects the complexity of his long history with Rachel and his effort to support his friends even when it hurts. By blending embarrassment, vulnerability, and comic timing, this episode isn't a filler but a deserved, underrated gem. 3. The one where Chandler takes a bath. Next is the one where Chandler takes a bath, a quietly brilliant Friends episode that turns a simple, low-stakes premise into surprisingly rich character comedy and heartfelt group dynamics. In Season 8, Chandler, who claims he doesn't like baths, ends up discovering a full-on love for them after Monica convinces him to try a properly set-up soak with candles and scents, leading to one of his most charmingly self-aware moments on the show. Meanwhile, Joey is hilariously tangled in confusing feelings for Rachel, trying to dismiss them as a harmless crush while everyone around slowly pieces it together. On top of this, Ross and Rachel's baby subplot is complete with a chaotic baby name debate and the reveal that they're having a girl. With the mix of Chandler's unexpected bathtub bliss, Joey's awkward vulnerability, and the shared revelations, this episode is one that you should rewatch. 4. The one with two parties. Another underrated classic is The One with Two Parties, which has earned its place as an underrated Friends classic by packing chaotic sitcom energy into a fresh twist on the birthday party trope. When Rachel's divorced parents suddenly show up at her surprise party, the gang splits the celebration into two simultaneous parties. One is Monica's meticulously planned and painfully boring version, and another in Chandler and Joey's lively, raucous bash. All of this was to keep her feuding parents apart and avoid disaster. What makes this episode shine is how it blends heartfelt character moments with absurd situation comedy. We see Ross fumbling interactions with Rachel's dad, Phoebe hurling guests between apartments, and Monica's hilariously strict party rules. It's one of those few episodes where everyone gets a standout moment. 5. The one with the lottery. You can also consider rewatching The One with the Lottery, a fun Friends episode that turns the characters' get-rich-quick dreams into both chaos and heart, landing it high on many fans' lists of underrated gems. In Season 9, the gang pools money to buy lottery tickets with a massive jackpot, sparking enthusiastic plans and equally enthusiastic bickering over who deserves what if they win. All of this happens until Phoebe ends up dropping the entire bowl of tickets off the balcony during an argument about fairness. This episode blends humor with personal moments, like Ross and Rachel anticipating Emma's first words, and Chandler landing a better job after disappointment. While this episode was all about money, the next one was not less funny. 6. The one with the monkey. The One with the Monkey is a Season 1 episode that cleverly mixes holiday anticipation with emotional growth and hilarious chaos. Ross, lonely after his divorce, adopts a capuchin monkey named Marcel, hoping the pet will fill the void. But the group's reactions range from delight to disbelief as Ross navigates this unusual new roommate. Meanwhile, the gang makes a pact not to bring dates to their New Year's Eve party, only to have nearly everyone break it. Phoebe starts dating a scientist, Rachel plans to reunite with Paolo, Chandler panics and calls Janice, Monica invites fun Bobby, and Joey even brings a date with her kids. By midnight, almost all relationships fizzle. Marcel avoids Ross, and the group finds themselves alone together as the ball drops. It blends quirky animal comedy, budding romance, and character vulnerability, but unfortunately is an overlooked Friends episode. 7. The One with the Dozen Languages. Another underrated episode is The One with the Dozen Languages, a Friends episode where the humor comes from the gang dealing with one of their most absurd language challenges. In this Season 10 entry, Phoebe tries to reach Joey French for an audition, but he mangles every phrase into hilarious gibberish. He confidently believes that he's nailing it, which leads to one of the most laugh-out-loud running jokes in the series. Meanwhile, the rest of the group is juggling its own plots. Ross accompanies Rachel to Long Island after her dad has a heart attack, and Monica and Chandler navigate pregnancy jitters and baby stuff, adding some emotional elements to the comedy. This episode is worth watching but also underrated, and blends physical comedy with heartfelt interactions. But the next episode might be one that surprises you. 8. The One with the Boobies. The One with the Boobies is a Season 1 episode that deserves more love because it blends Friends' classic awkward humor with surprisingly deep character beats. The central gag starts when Chandler accidentally walks in on Rachel fresh out of the shower, which snowballs into a series of increasingly embarrassing moments as Archel tries to even the score. The comedic situation gets wilder and funnier the more the gang tries to even things up. At the same time, Joey's dad visits and reveals he's been having a long-term affair, forcing Joey to confront adult relationship realities and try to play referee between his parents. Meanwhile, Phoebe's new boyfriend, a psychiatrist named Roger, annoys everyone by psychoanalyzing the group, adding another layer of humor and tension. The episode mixes physical comedy, relationship awkwardness, and genuine emotional moments. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. We all thank you for your continued support. 9. The One with the Candy Hearts. You can also try a rewatch of The One with the Candy Hearts, which turns Valentine's Day into a perfect blend of awkward romance, chaotic friendships, and classic Friends humor. As the holiday looms, Ross finally goes on his first date since his divorce, only to end up in the same restaurant as his ex-wife Carol and her partner. This led to an uncomfortable and bittersweet reunion that ended with a kiss and an emotional realization about moving on. Meanwhile, Joey drags Chandler on a blind date that turns out to be Janice, and despite all of Chandler's best intentions to avoid her, they hilariously wake up together, leading to another classic breakup moment. Across town, Rachel, Monica, and Phoebe rebel against Valentine's pressure by burning mementos of bad relationships. These easily get out of hand and support some really attractive firemen. 10. The One with the Birth. Many Friends fans also forget about The One with the Birth, a Season 1 episode that turns a chaotic hospital trip into one of Friends' most heartfelt group moments. When Ross's ex-wife Carol goes into labor and is rushed to the hospital, the entire gang shows up. But the real comedy starts with Ross and Susan bickering non-stop over who gets to assist her and what to name the baby, leading Phoebe to drag them into a closet to quiet them down. There, they accidentally get locked in just as Carol is about to deliver. While all this unfolds, Rachel flirts awkwardly with the attending doctor, Monica faces her own fears about not having children, and Joey surprisingly becomes the birth coach for a pregnant woman who's alone in labor. This is a fun episode that blends situational comedy with genuine emotional beats. But the next episode might have been underrated, but it's still loved by die-hard Friends fans. 11. The One with Unagi. The One with Unagi gets its laughs from one of Friends' most quoted and absurd concepts. Ross insists that unagi is a martial arts state of total awareness that Phoebe and Rachel must master for self-defense, even though it's actually a type of sushi. Even more hilarious, he constantly jumps out and loudly yells, "Danger!" to prove it, with very hilarious results. While Ross's unagi obsession fuels the funniest moments, the episode also juggles some great subplots. Joey tries to scam his way into extra cash by hiring a fake twin for a clinical study, and Monica and Chandler scramble to make last-minute homemade Valentine's gifts, leaving romance and awkward comedy. This episode mixes classic physical humor with playful chemistry, making it funny every time you re-watch it. But the next one might be underrated, but still one of the goofiest. 12. The One Where Eddie Won't Go. The One Where Eddie Won't Go turns one of Friends' goofiest premises into a surprisingly layered and hilarious episode. In episode 2, Chandler is stuck with Eddie, a bizarre new roommate whose creepy habits, like watching Chandler sleep and hydrating fruit, drive Chandler up the wall. Strangely, Eddie never remembers being asked to leave, forcing Chandler to become more desperate to reclaim his space. Meanwhile, Joey's life hits a rough patch after his Days of Our Lives character is gone, and mounting bills push him to reluctantly accept lesser auditions. At the same time, Ross continues to push him to swallow his pride. At the same time, Monica, Rachel, and Phoebe dive into a trendy self-help group that leads to a humorous goddess showdown before they make up. The gang eventually outsmarts Eddie by changing the locks and pretending he never lived there, a hilarious ending. 13. The One with Joey's New Brain. This is another episode that connects Days of Our Lives. The One with Joey's New Brain is a Season 7 episode that cleverly blends Friends' soap opera absurdity with classic character comedy. In this outing, Joey's Days of Our Lives character wakes up from a coma with a brain transplant. So his role is suddenly played with the essence of a longtime beloved character, and Joey hilariously tries to learn how to portray her without upsetting her longtime fans. Alongside Joey's over-the-top acting fiasco, Phoebe and Rachel compete to return a cute stranger's forgotten phone in hopes of sparking a romance, only to discover the number actually belongs to his elderly boss, flipping their plans on their head. Meanwhile, Ross reveals he's learning the bagpipes as a wedding surprise for Monica and Chandler, leading to one of the show's most awkwardly memorable musical moments. The mix of soap drama, rivalry, and romantic gestures makes it an underrated Friends gem. 14. The One with Joey's Fridge. Another episode with Joey is The One with Joey's Fridge, a Season 6 Friends episode that turns a simple appliance mishap into a string of classic sitcom moments. After Joey discovers his refrigerator has been broken for days, he desperately tries to convince his friends to help pay for a new one. He even went so far as to comically push Ross into the fridge and blame him for the damage. This gag has become a fan-favorite moment. Meanwhile, Rachel needs a date for a charity ball, and Monica, Chandler, and Phoebe each recruit candidates, leading to a hilarious competition over who has the best pick. At the same time, Ross misinterprets Elizabeth's spring break plans, worrying she'll meet other guys. This adds awkward emotional comedy to the mix. The episode blends overblown anxieties with competitive dating antics, and at the center of it all is Joey's fridge. 15. The One with Ross's Tan. Aside from Joey, there are many other underrated episodes that have Ross at the center. The One with Ross's Tan is a Season 10 Friends episode that turns Ross's usual overthinking into pure physical comedy and awkward group dynamics. After seeing Monica's spray-on tan, Ross confidently heads to a tanning salon, only to mess up the instructions. This left his front comically darker than the back. So he tried again, only to end up over-tanned. This led to one of the show's most ridiculous visual gags. At the same time, Joey and Rachel try their official first date, but end up realizing their friendship means more than forcing a romance. Monica and Phoebe are also dragged back into drama when an old roommate with a fake British accent overstays her welcome, pushing them to confront old tensions and rethink their bond. 16. The One with Ross's Teeth. Then we have The One with Ross's Teeth, a Season 6 episode that turns Ross's well-meaning attempt to impress a date into one of Friends' most visually hilarious and unforgettable moments. Ross decides to whiten his teeth for a big date with a colleague, but he leaves the whitening treatment on way too long, leading to teeth so unnaturally bright they literally glow under a backlight. It left him mortified and trying every awkward trick to hide his smile. While Ross's glowing grin steals every scene, the episode still has some subplots. Joey deals with his roommate Janine's decor choices, and Rachel navigates a workplace misunderstanding after Phoebe claims she made out with Ralph Lauren. 17. The One with Ross's New Girlfriend. Another fun but underrated Ross-centered episode is The One with Ross's New Girlfriend, which kicked off Season 2 by throwing a wrench into the Ross-Rachel dynamic in a way that still hits emotionally and comically. After Rachel waits at the airport to confess her feelings for Ross, he returns from China with a new girlfriend named Julie, leaving her devastated and scrambling to hide her heartbreak while trying to be polite. Chandler, feeling guilty for spilling the beans about Ross's feelings and encouraging him to move on, tries to help but only makes things more awkward. The episode balances this core emotional twist with some classic Friends side plots. In the episode, Phoebe gives Monica a disastrously bad haircut, and Chandler has an uncomfortable experience with Joey's tailor that becomes a running joke. This episode is a hilarious yet underrated scene, yet the next one offers funny moments in everyday life. 18. The One with the Pediatrician. The One with the Pediatrician is a fun, character-rich Season 9 episode where the chaos of everyday life blends perfectly with Friends' trademark humor. When Rachel's pediatrician fires her for calling about every tiny thing with baby Emma, she and Ross scramble to find a new doctor, only to discover that Ross still goes to his old childhood pediatrician, Dr. Gettleman, leading to some awkward and hilarious moments in the waiting room. At the same time, Joey and Phoebe agree to set each other up on blind dates, but Joey forgets and improvises by shouting for a stranger named Mike in Central Park. This gave us one of the first appearances of Paul Rudd's character and set up a sweet connection. Meanwhile, Monica and Chandler wrestle with a big life decision about a job move that tests their plans as a couple. 19. The One with the Blackout. Back in Season 1, another underrated episode is The One with the Blackout, which combines awkward romance, ensemble comedy, and character-driven chaos around a simple premise. A citywide power outage halts New York and traps Chandler in an ATM vestibule with supermodel Jill Goodacre, leading to some of Chandler's funniest nervous moments as he tries to impress her and spectacularly stumbles. Back at Monica and Rachel's apartment, the rest of the gang kills time by telling outrageous stories by candlelight, while Ross desperately tries to confess his long-held feelings for Rachel, only to be thwarted by a stray cat and the unexpected arrival of their Italian neighbor, Paolo, who instantly steals Rachel's attention. 20. The One with All the Cheesecake. And finally, we have The One with All the Cheesecake, an episode that turns a simple food mishap into one of Friends' most delightfully underrated episodes by combining absurd character choices with hilarious ensemble moments. When a cheesecake is accidentally delivered to Chandler's door, he and Rachel quickly discover it's incredibly delicious and can't resist eating it. They don't eat it once, but twice, and even after trying to return it, they steal it back and argue over who gets more, dropping pieces on the floor and ultimately eating what's left on the ground. Meanwhile, Monica fumes after being excluded from their cousin's wedding, discovering it's because the groom is an ex, and Phoebe reconnects with her old flame David in a bittersweet subplot about timing and love. Joey turns up with a fork in his pocket to join in the cheesecake feast, making this episode a perfect mix of food-fueled chaos, friendship dynamic, and quotable comedy. If you're thinking of rewatching Friends but are getting tired of the famous episodes, you should check out these top 20 underrated episodes instead. Which of these is one you actually love? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed watching, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and drop us a note in the comments letting us know what you want to see us do next.